Hello and welcome back to another out of spec detailing video. Today's a little bit different of a video. This is a 1-month ownership update with this, my 2025 Tesla Model 3 Performance. Now you guys have already seen quite a few videos with this car where we went through, paint corrected it, ceramic coated it. We're gonna go back through all of that, talk about what we did to the car, talk about what my future plans are for the car, how to keep it maintained and cleaned, as well as talk about some of the modifications we've done to the car. I also want to give you my first impressions of my first month of ownership, talk about the good, the bad, because there's been some things that have come up since my initial build quality review that, yeah, I'm not exactly thrilled with. Nonetheless, welcome back and let's jump into it. Well guys, it's been exactly 1 month to today that I took delivery of my brand new 2025 Tesla Model 3 Performance. And honestly, it's been a whirlwind. It really feels like I picked this car up last week. I can already tell you I haven't driven this car enough. Now, for those of you that don't know, this is not really my daily driver car. This is kind of my fun toy that I have. Reason being is we've got two very sweet golden retrievers, Oliver and Charlie, and they just destroy cars. So I've got my Kia EV6 that I take them to the shop with, and my wife works quite a bit, so the dogs are naturally at the shop with me quite a bit. So I don't really commute in this car. This is really to go have fun in the canyons with, to drive when I don't have the dogs with me, but man, it's been incredible so far. So I want to run you through what we've done with this car already, if you haven't been keeping up with the videos. So we picked this car up on June 9th at Tesla Loveland. I requested them not to wash the car so that I could do my first wash. Immediately took it back to the shop, gave it its full first bath, and yeah, that's always the best way to take delivery of a car, isn't it? I don't want any of the dealerships scratching up my brand new car that's going to cause me more work to do in paint correction, hence taking away more paint. We went through, did a full paint quality evaluation as well as a full build quality review. And overall, I would say actually pretty impressed with this car compared to quite a few Teslas I've seen in the shop. I would say Tesla is getting better with build quality. I still think there are some areas and some room for improvement, especially on the paint quality side. Still quite a few dust nibs in the car, but it's getting better. So I hope to see that trend continue. Hope to see it get better time after time again. Now, build quality, we'll talk a little bit about this. I was actually pretty darn impressed with this car. It's not 100% perfect. There's still a few panel gap fit and finish areas, but initial impressions with this car, the best Tesla that I have purchased. This is my third Tesla. I originally started back in 2021 with a all-wheel drive long range, same color spec I had on this, pearl white interior. Then I upgraded to a 2023 Midnight Silver Metallic Performance. Unbelievable tax credit spec on that car. Got some insane deals and really love that car. And I was hesitant to pull the trigger on the new Highland because I didn't really think it was that much of an upgrade. And I'll tell you, after a month of an ownership, man, I was definitely wrong. This thing is a pretty darn impressive car for kind of the spider web of capabilities, as we might say it does. Now, of course, this is not a car you're going to take off-road. This is a car you're going to commute to, you're going to take your wife to dinner with, but you're going to absolutely be able to go shred in the canyons, which is what makes this car really fun. So in terms of detailing, what we've done with this car, you guys may have seen, we went through, paint corrected the entire car, getting the paint absolutely perfect. And I gotta say, this pearl white is just such a stunning color in the sunshine there, especially when it's completely dialed in. The gloss down the side is what I absolutely love to see. We also coated this car with Clean by Pan the Organizer's 8-year coating. One of the reasons I did that, instead of using something like a pro grade coating like Geon Infinite Base Type 1 that I'm a certified installer for, I really want to see on my own car how it performs over an extended period of time. So this car, although it's not daily driven, does get driven in the rain, does get driven in the winter time, so I'm really anxious to see how this holds up. Now, when we did the paint, we also coated all of the glass with Pan's coating, which I'm really curious to see how that holds up because I haven't actually used that on the glass. So we'll be making some update videos as this car gets older and older. We also went through, coated all the areas like the whole front splitter here, whole rear diffuser, all the little plastic grills, even under the front trunk, just making sure that everything has ceramic coating on it and is fully protected. Now, one of the things you guys, of course, may notice here is the car is sitting quite a bit lower. This was a big controversial video that I put out of swapping out the actually decently impressive Model 3 Performance adaptive suspension for a full coilover setup. Again, I made a whole video on it, whole rant about why I did that. I like my cars low. I like my cars a little bit more focused. Mountain Pass Performance sport coilovers here are really the way to go. Full adjustability, height control, dampening control, rebounding control. It is just an unbelievable setup. And on a back road, man, there is really not much that keeps up with this car. You'll also notice here that I actually swapped on some new wheels. So these are the wheels that I actually had on my last generation Model 3 Performance. So this is running the older generation Model 3 Performance wheel spec essentially. So this runs a 20/9 plus 34 offset with a 235, 35, 20 square. So the new Performance actually runs a staggered setup with a 275 at the rear. And yeah, one thing that I like doing is actually being able to swap tires. So yeah, this is why I went with this. Also are running the Pilot Sport 4S, actually T0 spec tires. So these actually have the foam. These are the Tesla spec tires. Pretty unbelievable to say the least. So a couple of things I want to go through with this car are, I guess, some of the build quality issues that I've noticed have actually come up with it. Now, number one, I think that most people pointed out in my video was kind of the atrocious hood panel gap up here. Now, this is something I have actually been seeing quite a bit on lots of new Model 3 Performances. So if you look at this side, you can see this lines up absolutely perfect here. And over here, you'll notice that that front bumper sticks quite a far bit over to the right, getting close there, and then yeah, not fitting perfect there. What you also kind of see is that the front end here on the front kind of sticks up a little bit in that front bumper section there. So it's a little wonky. That was my one major complaint with the car. Number two that has come up over driving for a little bit of time is I actually have a rattle in my steering column. Now, I posted this on Twitter. I think most people were thinking I was talking about a tire balancing issue. It is not a vibration in the steering wheel. It's actually in the center console. It's this very kind of metallic sound in there, like something is loose and rattling. It's over kind of uneven roads, if you will. You can kind of hear it. I definitely think it's exacerbated with the new suspension being a little bit more firmer, lower to the ground. Naturally, more things are coming through the cabin, but it was also there pretty much right as I took delivery from the dealership. As I drove home, I heard it a little bit. And then of course I pulled the suspension off of this car within, I think, 80 miles of taking delivery of it. So it was there, but it's gotten a little bit worse. Number two, in terms of build quality issues, I would say are the seats. Now, this may be a thick boy excuse, but they are already showing pretty decent signs of wrinkles and creases, especially over there in the driver or in the passenger side seat bolster. I haven't been sitting over there. I've had a few friends in there, and I think that's one of the issues I have with these seats. I absolutely love these seats. They look incredible, super comfortable. I also love that these have both heating and cooling in it. It makes a huge difference with this car. But definitely one of the issues that I see with it is that the side bolsters are actually really soft. So if you're naturally a bigger, wider guy like me, this bolster kind of sits like this, can see some creases in here, can probably also see some creases on this side. Now, if you didn't know, I also went through, well, you probably wouldn't know because I didn't even make a video about it, but I actually went through and actually coated all these seats. Now, my first impression with kind of living with the new seat material here on the new Model 3 is they actually get dirtier than the previous generation Model 3 seats in general. I don't know what it is, but these seem to collect a lot more dirt. This is actually the same material found in Cybertruck S and X, and I'll tell you from my experience, especially with my friend Kyle, his Plaid seats get absolutely disgusting. They turn bright yellow, they get extremely dirty extremely quickly, and I don't know what it is about the white seats in the newest generation that really to me seem to pick up and hold quite a bit more dirt and grime in it. Now, one thing I will say that's kind of counterintuitive and opposite of the last generation is it actually cleans up a lot easier. So what I would recommend if you're getting a new Model 3, any Tesla, any car just in general with a very, very light interior, coat them from day one. So I used Gyeon Leather Shield Evo on this, coated all of the seats, let it sit overnight so it could cure on there. I typically recommend, depending on how many miles, of course, you're doing with your car, that you reapply this product every 9 to 12 months. If you're putting, 20,000 miles a year on your car, maybe you want to do it every 6 months. But a little goes a long way with the product, so you can actually purchase it, keep it in storage in a nice, cool, dark area, and then reapply it when you need to actually do that. So we'll probably make another video in the future on that in terms of what I recommend for kind of recoating the seats. Other than that, in terms of build quality, it's been really, really impressive. One thing that I'm actually really impressed with this car is the NVH improvements over the outgoing original Model 3 and Model 3 Performance. It is definitely noticeably quieter in the cabin. Not only tire noise, but road noise coming through, as well as importantly wind noise, because they've done acoustic glass on the front, on the rear, on the sunroof, back glass. It makes a huge, huge difference. Now, is this the quietest car in the world? No, and I think that has to do with this being an electric car. The drivetrain is really quiet in this, so naturally you hear a little bit more. Luckily, you can kind of crank up the audio and that drowns it away. But I will say noticeably improved. I think 9 out of 10 people are going to be blown away with the quiet, comfortable nature inside of the cabin. It's really, really impressive. Now, I think one thing somebody's definitely going to ask is about window tint, why I haven't tinted this car. At this point, it's kind of a rolling joke on Twitter or X, whichever you call it. I always call it Twitter still to this day. I am not a huge fan of window tint for a couple of reasons. Number one, when you get a white interior Tesla, I love this glow, especially kind of in, noon to like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sun's baking down on the car and you just see that bright white interior come through. I just think it looks so freaking awesome. Now, the other thing you may say with tint, of course, is that it helps a lot with heat rejection. I would 100% agree with that. For me though, I set my climate at between 69 and 70. It's been super hot here in Colorado, around 90 to 100 degrees. Run the AC, run the cooled seats. I'm not baking in the car. A lot of people have said, oh, I just am running the climate at max and can't keep up. I don't know if I'm just more immune to the heat or what it is, but it's really not that bad in my impression. And number 3 with tint that drives me nuts is kind of the quality level of install. I see so many cars come through my shop and I see a lot of cars with contamination all over the film, and I don't want to look through dust in my window all the time. It just drives me up a wall. There's also a thing too that I notice with tint, with quite a bit of distortion on glass, especially when you do the front windshield. It really drives my eyes nuts. If you've ever driven a Range Rover, Land Rover product that has the heated glass on it with the little lines, squiggles that go through, I physically cannot drive those cars. They make me almost ill because my eyes go cross-eyed and try and focus too close instead of looking farther out. It's kind of the same thing with tint. One of the last things with tint, I'll just say, just to get this over with at this point, from my shop to my house is on a lot of back roads with not a lot of street lighting on it. So one thing that I've not been super pleased with is, I pull into a dark neighborhood after a long day at the shop. I can't see out my side windows. If I'm going to tint a car, I'm going to properly tint it, do it pretty dark. And I really, really don't like having window tint. So that's my spiel on it. Not any plans to get this car tinted. And I think it's funny, a few people who comment it every time. I say, hey, every time you comment this, it's going to get pushed back a week of when I'm getting tint. So I'm really not going to get it done unless, I don't think I'm ever going to get it done. Nonetheless, other things with the car that I've been impressed with. The Matrix headlights are actually insanely cool in this car. Now, my last car actually had it as well. But I haven't really experienced that because I wasn't driving the car. I was getting ready to trade it in for this one. The only negative I'll say with the new Highland generation in terms of lighting, I do miss having the fog lights, and I also think the last generation Model 3 headlights were substantially brighter. If you didn't know, every time a Model 3 is coming at you, it feels like they have their high beams on, Model 3, especially Model Y. And this car just seems a little bit more dim, but the Matrix headlights are actually really, really cool, really, really impressive with this car. So next I want to jump inside. I want to quickly talk to you about how many miles we put on the car, what our efficiency's been looking like, and actually kind of a major issue with the suspension that we've been having. Well guys, we've jumped into the very nice cooled cabin as it is. Leaving climate on is just the best thing ever. Filming outside's 89 degrees, beautiful Colorado Sunday here. Blue skies everywhere, partly cloudy. It is just like perfect weather, but I've got AC seats on. Yeah, just so darn nice. So here's what we've done in the car so far. 289.1 miles. Average 287 watt hour per mile. Now here's the interesting thing. The new Model 3 is supposed to be more efficient, but the new Model 3 Performance also has a juicier rear motor than the outgoing Model 3 Performance especially. So what I'm noticing on this is it's actually less efficient than my old generation Model 3 Performance. I was averaging 278 watt hour per mile. That was a car that I would drive pretty much exactly the same as this car. Did 14,000 miles on it. You know, one large road trip down to Alabama, about 4,000-ish miles all in all. And 278 watt hour per mile was my average efficiency. And this is slightly higher. So I think there's a couple things coming into that. Number one, I should say, the suspension on this car was exactly on my previous generation car. The wheels and tire setup were also on my previous generation car, so pretty interesting. I'm wondering if it has to do, the car's not fully broken in yet. I'm also wondering if it has to do with, I picked up this car in the middle of June. It feels like it's been unseasonably warm here, basically 90 to 100 plus degrees every single day in Colorado. I, of course, getting a new car, I've been launching it quite a bit. So I'm curious to see over time what this efficiency does. But we've also done, 70 mile per hour range tests. Our friend Brandon Tesla Flex, we use his Model 3 Performance, and it was like a very, very minuscule gain over the outgoing Model 3 Performance, and actually not very efficient when you compare it to the all-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive Model 3. Pretty interesting stuff there. But for me, efficiency, this is a performance car, quote unquote, so I want to go drive it and enjoy it. So a couple of other things I want to talk about that we've done in the interior. Number one, we've changed kind of some of these areas. So I wasn't a huge fan of the kind of gray with black polka dots here in this area, over here, as well as up here on the dash. So one of the things I was considering doing was actually changing out this carbon fiber up here. The one thing I really don't love about this is it's not the traditional carbon fiber weave, and it doesn't match the rear spoiler. The rear spoiler is more traditional carbon weave. This is what I call Ferrari carbon. They have this kind of square carbon throughout, and I was like, I don't know. I was considering getting the new charcoal suede dash piece up here and ended up deciding to go this route and doing kind of the micro suede cover here, leaving the carbon and then actually matching the carbon down here, which I think actually looks pretty nice. I also did the center console wireless charger area here, which is normally kind of the, vegan type leather that's found here or on the side of the center console here with a little stitching. And I really like how this came out, this kind of very subtle touch of matte carbon with the micro suede Alcantara. I'm a big fan of like OEM plus. I want things to look like they would come from the factory. Now the wheels being bronze, I don't think Tesla's ever going to offer bronze wheels on a car, but the interior feels very OEM plus, kind of matches the more vibe of the car, if you will, for me. The other thing that's been really cool that I've done is installed sexy buttons. This is going to be really hard to show you. Yeah, you can see them perfectly there. So on the back there, as you can see, what I do here, because I don't have a left hand, I don't have stocks here. It's very annoying for me to be driving down the road, come over here and go, oh, okay, we're going left here, we're going right here. So what I have on the back here, I have my right turn signal on the farthest one here, and I have my left turn signal on the other one, and they work amazingly well. The other thing I've done here on the center armrest is actually done this one for the glove box over there, which is cool, and then I've hotkeyed this one to immediately put me in track mode. So before, If you come through here, let me get out of track mode, I can actually press this. So normally when you come in here, you have to go track mode, then you have to say, okay, yes, track mode. This is just a little quicker. So if I'm driving down the road, let's go out of track mode one more time. Okay, so if I'm driving down the road, pulling up to a stoplight, I've already pressed this button before, put the car in park, and boom, it's already in track mode, ready to go back in. You'll also notice that here with the sexy buttons, this is one of my most favorite things here. I'm gonna turn off track mode because it's heating up the battery and everything. The scroll wheel. So this has auto shift on park, I guess they call it. I don't exactly remember 100% what they actually call this, but basically it's trying to figure out if you're going forward, into reverse. It actually works pretty cool. The issue I have with that is in my shop, it's a very tight, confined space, and it gets confused sometimes. It doesn't, you know, when I'm backing up to turn out of my shop, it doesn't know to put it into drive so that I'm swiping this. This is the most convenient thing ever. So I just, you know, swipe up and down on this. It goes away after you reach 4 or 5 miles per hour. So you can continue to use your scroll wheel while driving down the road. You're not going to have any issues with that. You can also hold it to put the car in park. Very, very cool features. There's so many cool things you can do with sexy buttons, including battery temps and things you can see on your phone. You can like hold a door handle on the exterior of the car to open up the front trunk, the charge port. I mean, the list is almost endless with the sexy buttons. Really cool. You can even have it to do something like I have in my car. So my ambient lighting, you may not be able to see it right now. Maybe you can. It's purple when I go into autopilot or FSD, you know, while I'm cruising down the highway. Click it on, the light goes blue. And then if you're not paying attention, it does a light, subtle pulse. That's all through sexy buttons. It's really, really cool technology, what they've done with that. So really, really impressed with it. A couple other things we need to go through here. Okay, 2 things I want to mention here that I'm struggling to like in this car, and one of them that I think I'm gonna have to just get used to a little bit. So number 1, steering wheel controls here. I gotta be honest, I am actually kind of liking the stockless design, but for me, having to have the adaptation to have the sexy buttons on the rear and then having the scroll wheel here, I think is great to replace the actual stocks. So no issue there. The only issue I'm having is with these 2 buttons over here. I am constantly hitting them. As you can see, literally on my windshield now, I've got a nice dry wipe across on both sides. Hate dry wiping windshields, don't want to scratch them up. I am constantly hitting these 2 buttons. You know, when I'm turning, I'm not doing hand over hand for me, but you know, turning into a parking lot or something, hitting the wipers, really, really frustrating. I almost wish there was a way to disable these 2. I do miss having the stock over here for the wipers. Yeah, just one of those things, kind of frustrated with. Okay, number 2, I would say I'm not used to yet is the stereo system. Previous generation Model 3 stereo I thought was damn near perfect for the price point. It had, you know, a lot of good bass. It sounded very clear. It was just a great stereo system. Now, it's no Bowers & Wilkins EX90 stereo system that'll literally blow your socks off or your hat off your bald head like me, but it was really, really good. My main complaint with the new Model 3 with the premium audio system is the sub and the bass. It is just too much. I've turned it down and then it's still, it doesn't have a clear sound to me. I like very clear bass. So I've got a Sonos system in my shop at home. I just kind of like that effortless, crisp, but you know, very there bass. This to me, it just sounds too boomy, and it, you know, it's probably the music I'm listening to. My EQ settings, I've gone through. Every time I drive it, I'm changing it. You know, a song changes, it sounds good on this one, then the next one's kind of like, man, it doesn't really sound that great. The last gen stereo system I was really, really happy with. So, you know, what I'm saying here is, I guess if you're, you know, maybe between a Model 3 rear wheel drive and all wheel drive, solely based down to the audio system. I know Jordan had this conversation before. I'm not really sure this is worth a complete upgrade. I'm not the happiest with the stereo system in here. It gets really loud. It sounds pretty good, but the bass is just not clear. One thing I do want to mention in my experience with my own personal car here, as well as my customers' Model 3 performances, is the brake dust. The brake dust on these cars are actually freaking insane. So Tesla in the new Model 3 Performance has put in what they call a track pad. Now, it's really a very soft compound, probably to give you a little bit more feel. I'm curious to see how these actually hold up on a pretty serious track day, but the brake dust is crazy. Now, I know a lot of you may be saying, well, that's not really an issue because, you know, it's an EV, you're using regen brakes, but here's the kicker. I've had a lot of Model 3 Performance customers actually road trip their cars to me. Two in particular, one from Albuquerque and one from Louisiana, that actually picked his car up in Austin, Texas, and then drove it up to me. He drove the entire drive from Austin to here in Windsor, Colorado in full FSD. And the interesting thing is, when he got here, I was like, did you go do like a canyon drive or something? He goes, no, I've literally been on, you know, the highway the whole time on FSD. Why? And I'm like, dude, your rear brakes, look at the amount of dust on here. It is insane. So the weird thing about Tesla with FSD, I don't know why exactly it's this way, because they actually have pretty good regen. I will say it's not the strongest in the industry compared to, you know, Lucid, compared to my EGMP, EV6, EV9, or even something like Rivian. This actually feels pretty light on the amount of regen, but very nice calibration for daily driving, things like that. But when using FSD, it's using a ton of brakes, and specifically the rear brakes. So it's really, really interesting. What I'd like to hear from you guys, if any of you Model 3 Performance owners out there have actually upgraded your pads. I'm not necessarily looking for a full crazy track pad that's gonna add, you know, a ton of noise to the car or anything like that. I maybe would just, though, like to find a pad that's a little bit less dusty, because I did, you know, 150 miles. I took this car up to the canyons. I was not pushing it crazy hard. And yeah, the brake dust is just insane on this. It feels like I own a BMW, Mercedes, Audi product. It's pretty darn crazy. Now, one of the last things I want to mention to you guys is a pretty big issue, like I mentioned earlier, with the suspension I've had. And it's not the Mountain Pass point of it. It's actually the canceller kit from Unplugged Performance. Now, before I say anything, I have to give a huge shout out to Unplugged Performance for being, number one, extremely professional, extremely communicative, and having great customer service. So I installed the suspension. I daily drove it for, you know, 3 or 4 days, and then I decided to take the car up into the canyon. So I put the car, you know, in track mode, of course, on a closed road, and was driving it. The car was just unbelievable on a back road. I mean, the new rear motor, the 60 to, you know, quite a bit more, is just insane compared to the last generation Model 3 Performance. This thing is just an absolute missile. Over 500 horsepower, that immediate torque. And, you know, honestly, an EV that I would say is, it's not light, but in terms of EVs, just being over 4,000 pounds, this thing hustles up a back road. So anyways, I was in track mode. I decided to, you know, pull the car off on the side of the road. I wanted to take a photo with the car. Got out of the car, which automatically takes the car out of track mode. Took my photos, got back into the car, and I had an adaptive suspension fault. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. So that's a canceller. What the heck's going on here? So I got out of the car, you know, locked the car, recycled it, it went away. Meanwhile, I drove, you know, literally 2 minutes down the road, boom, came back on again. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I messaged the team over at Unplugged Performance. I know a few of the guys there. Big shout out to Luke. He's been super communicative and awesome, and said, hey, dude, I've got a fault with this. And he said, you know, do you mind checking the plugs and make sure they're plugged in? So, okay, sure, no problem. So with this, it's actually pretty easy. You just got to jack the car up. You don't have to take the wheel off. I could definitely see that, you know, they were plugged in, everything was working. So he goes, okay, let me overnight you a set. Now, in the meantime, I decided to take the one that was quote unquote not working, having the error code, which was on the passenger front here, swap it over to the driver's front. The weird thing is, then I put the car in drive, it was fine, and then boom, both of them came on. It was very, very weird. So it was like there was a communication error there. I thought it could have been an issue with the car. I thought it was, of course, something with the cancelers not communicating properly. So he sent them out. I swapped them back. So the driver's side one was good. I put it back on the driver's side, which was on the passenger, which was throwing a fault. So I thought that was kind of weird. And then I put the new one that Luke overnighted to me on this side. Drove the car for another 2 days, perfectly fine. Go to get in the car the next morning to head to the shop to go do some work. Boom, adaptive suspension fault. I'm like, what in the heck is going on? Now it was on that side. So I was like, okay, this is pretty crazy. So I call Luke and, explain to him what's going on. He said, not a problem. I'm going to overnight you an entire set. So they sent me out an entire set. I replaced both fronts at the same time. And fingers crossed, knock on wood, knock on everything, knock on the battery pack, we're not having issues with it now. So I don't know if I got a bad batch, if the car got freaked out a little bit. There's a huge wasp flying over there. Please stay off my nice, perfectly paint corrected paint. So yeah, fingers crossed we're good there. If I seem to have an issue with this down the road, unfortunately, I'm going to send this set back and try the Mountain Pass ones and see how that goes. But that's been a little frustrating with this car. And again, it's, Unplugged has been great. They've been very communicative. I'm trying to help them because, they said they've sold quite a few kits to people and they've only had, a handful of issues with it. So I'm fingers crossed nothing else is going to happen. Maybe just had a bad batch, something got freaked out in the car. And again, I know a lot of you are probably like, that's why you shouldn't mess with your suspension. Look at this car. This thing looks just insane like this. Absolutely love it. So I guess moral of the story here, a month into ownership of the car, really, really pleased with it. I was wrong about the Highland. It's a substantial upgrade over the last car. Do I think you need to go out and trade in a bunch of negative equity to get the new car? No. But if you've been interested in this, you have the older generation Model 3, damn, it's an impressive car. I mean, for what I need, this is the car for me. I can take my wife out to the movies, to dinner in comfort, and she was actually really surprised at how nice the suspension rode. And then, I can take this to go get groceries, can go have fun in the mountains and canyons. I can go take it on a track day, and it's a light, nimble EV that's really, really fun to drive. And yeah, completely thrilled with the Model 3 performance here. So that's been my 1 month update. I'll definitely let you know probably at the 6 month mark how things are going. At that time, we'll probably be into, not probably, we will be into, winter time. So we'll be able to see a little bit how the coating's going. I'm going to continue to do my maintenance washes on this car. If anything else comes up in terms of, detailing or with the car, I'll definitely be able to update you guys. But hopefully you enjoyed this one. I know it's a little bit different from the Out of Spec Detailing channel, but, I also want to share with you guys my personal experience with these cars. I'm not, constantly reviewing cars over on the Out of Spec Reviews channel. That's kind of Kyle's channel. He's the, big electric car reviewer nerd. This is just my experience, my ownership update with it. Thrilled with the car, curious to see how things progress with it, especially in the efficiency department. Really, really anxious to see, once we get a few more 100 miles on this car, if that number starts climbing down or if it kind of levels off and stays the same. Be very interested to see. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in another one soon. Bye-bye.